All right, I stopped in to come see Sabrina today for the first time, and I don't know what she wants to say, but she said she wants to say something to the vlog.
I have to thank them all for praying for me because my surgery went great, and I have a nice hat, and this is my drain.
She'll be coming home tomorrow, they said. So that is really good. That's only like 2.5 days after post-surgery that she'll be coming out because she's doing so well, so.
Because you guys are praying for me, and Jesus is giving me lots of strength.
Interruption on a little bit of today's vlog because we came here to say hi to Sabrina.
Thanks, Bean.
In the middle of a worldwide pandemic, I had a seizure at work, ended myself up in the hospital, and got news 3 weeks later that I had a malignant brain tumor the size of a banana in my right temporal lobe. When I first got that news, I, as you can imagine, was a wreck. I had no idea if I was gonna live, if I was gonna die because of the area that the tumor was located. I didn't know how it was gonna affect my life. And from the minute I even was in the hospital, before they even knew what it was, TJ was telling me, only speak positive to yourself. Only tell yourself that you're gonna come out of this happy. Only tell yourself that the best outcome is gonna come. And he showed me what he had done that got him through his dark time was writing affirmations on your mirror. So I wrote, I'm gonna beat cancer. I'll be cancer-free by the end of this year. I will live a long life. I will accomplish great things. That's when the phrase keep moving forward and TJ and his motives behind everything, when I really understood it, and that was 4 years into dating him. So back when I was first diagnosed, right in the middle of the pandemic, I had a biopsy when I was in the hospital just after having a seizure before they knew what it was. I got the news 3.5 weeks later that it was a tumor. They didn't know how fast growing it was or what it was until they were able to get more out. So a month after that, I went into a 17.5-hour brain surgery. Because of the location of the brain, your temporal lobe, there is speech, there is memory, there's some motion and movement, but mainly it's the emotions part of your brain. I was told that I might have some sort of speech deficit, some sort of walking deficit, that therapy would help me figure out. I went into that surgery, woke up 17.5 hours later, and walked out of that hospital 2 days after that with no deficit at all. I had what is called a supratotal resection, where they removed almost 100% of the temporal lobe on my non-dominant side. I went through all this testing prior to make sure that they weren't gonna remove any function because they don't know what side of the brain you're dominant on, really 100% until they're in there. That's why some people do craniotomies while they're awake. But I woke up from that surgery with no deficit and had a whole new perspective on life. My whole entire way that I viewed everything we did changed from feeling like there was always more to chase or always more to get to just be thankful for the day that you're in now. Look at all the things around you and just be thankful for even waking up and being able to see. I learned that some people with brain tumors, they lose ability to walk, they lose their sight, they lose their smell. Obviously your brain is responsible for everything that your body does. So I went from just thinking that I was gonna die and that life couldn't get worse to brain cancer being the thing that really saved my life and making me realize how important and special it is to wake up every day and be thankful for your situation, no matter what situation you're in. I was told by my neurosurgeon that had I had this surgery even 5 to 10 years ago, I would have been in the hospital for at least 2 to 3 weeks recovering, and then my recovery period at home would have been at least 2 to 4 months on the couch doing nothing besides going to the bathroom and going to bed. And I was 100% back to normal, feeling like I could run a marathon 3 to 4 weeks after surgery. I had a recovery that my medical team, the oncologists there, were all like, wow, for such an aggressive surgery, the type of surgery that my surgeon performed was not one that they do very often, but because of where the tumor was located in my brain, they were able to do a very, very aggressive resection. But I was back to normal within a few months. Life started going again. I've been seizure-free since June of 2021, and I go in for a routine MRI every 3 months to check for progression of the tumor. And over the last 2 years since I was diagnosed, my scans look stable every single time I go in. Because of the seizure that put me in the hospital and led the doctors and everyone to finding out that I had brain cancer, I had my license taken away for 6 months, and that was the saddest 6 months of my life. It was almost as if I realized that driving and being around these cars and being able to drive passenger in TJ's cars was a passion of mine, whereas before I didn't really realize it. I couldn't go in these cars anymore because if I was around too much drone or loudness, my head would feel like it was about to explode. I obviously couldn't drive the cars myself because my license was suspended and I wasn't able to. And when I first got my license back 7 months after they first took it away, and I got in just my Porsche Macan at the time, I had the biggest smile on my face, and driving just had a whole new meaning to me than it did before. Now, when TJ first got his C8, I fell in love with it. Before it went off to getting modified and putting the wide body kit on it and doing all of the StreetHunter stuff, I was daily in that car and I fell in love with it just because it was so comfortable, it drove good, it was fast. I had a really good sound system, which is really important for me. And so a couple months ago when I was telling TJ, I want to get a cool car, let's get me a cool car, he was 100% in for it, and we were down to 3 options. We wanted an M4. We thought about doing the R35 GTR because when TJ had that, I loved that car. It was super comfortable, it was fast, it had a good sound system. And then one day in conversation, TJ goes, what about if we get you a C8? And I was like, I like the C8. I drove one before, it's a clean looking car, it's fast, it checks all the boxes on my list, and we picked up a C8 a week later. So after we picked up the C8, right away I was like, okay, I want to get moving on this car. I want to see what's out there. I want to do what I want to do. And of course, wrap was the first thing. So the car, stock, white, red interior, absolutely beautiful. But you know, I wanted to change it up a little bit to start. So it went off to Premium Auto Styling to get wrapped, and I dropped off the car myself. TJ wasn't there. He had no idea what color I was doing. I originally wanted to go like a mocha brown color, but ended up doing this Inazitec metallic green, and I wanted to add an extra flair on it. I knew right off the bat that I wanted to do Tron. When I first started dating TJ and I first was introduced to Calvin, he had the red Tron BRZ. That was a little over the top for me, but I wanted to do something similar. So after talking to Premium, we figured out what we were gonna do with the reflective Tron, and so came the color. When I first picked up this car and got that first rush of, wow, like I'm building this into something that I want, that's for me, that's my taste, I got my first sense of why everyone in this community, in this industry, is so addicted to getting cars, modifying them, changing them. When the internet exploded and I called the RX-7 a piece of shit, I was like, you know, maybe I should do the JDM wheel a little proud and put JDM wheels on my car. So I had seen these on a couple other cars and I was running them by like a few of our friends, and they were all like, those would look really, really good on a C8. I looked it up, I saw a couple C8s, very, very few, that had TE37s on the car, and ordered these 2 days after the car got back from being wrapped, and put the Blast Bronze TE37s on the car. And again, that was a moment for me where I was just like, wow, the bronze goes so well with the green. I'm doing such a good job. It's all coming together. Wrap was on, wheels were on, exhaust was on. One of the main decision makers on why TJ and I decided to go with this C8 was because TJ, you guys all know, he has the full StreetHunter wide body kit on his car. It's not here right now, it's gonna be back very, very soon, and we can't wait to get both of our cars together. He said, let's build your car with all of the stock body pieces, because no one's done that before. All these parts are coming out, you're gonna have your own build, and he told me from the get-go, if you don't like something and you wanna keep it stock, tell me and we don't have to put the StreetHunter part on. As you can see, we ended up putting every single StreetHunter stock body part on the car, and it looks way better than OEM. So currently we have all 5 stock body StreetHunter parts on my C8. We started with the diffuser and the rear spoiler, then from there we put on the front lip, then we put on the side skirts, and then the hood. And it came out way better than I could have imagined. Now I'm already fiending on what project car I want to get next, and I have a couple ideas.
I met Sabrina when I was out of high school in the early stages of college, and we met at one of my friend's house when he was throwing a party.
My first interaction with him ever was at a party, maybe a year or two out of high school for me, 2 or 3 years out of high school for him.
I had seen her like from time to time, but didn't really know who she was.
I knew who he was, I didn't know him personally.
So we met then, and then our relationship started maybe 6 months after that time that I actually officially met her. And we just started spending a lot of time with each other. I think it was only 3 months later after that we officially started dating. Our first date, I took her to a ranch style pumpkin patch. I took her to my BRZ.
He picked me up on our first date in his freshly wrapped, sparkly BRZ.
And that was like the first time that she ever had like been in a, I guess, modded car, and she didn't really understand anything.
I was like, who is this guy with the loud car pulling up to my parents' house to pick me up for a date?
So I remember being more like nervous about what she would think about the drone in my car than like anything else.
And I had no idea that the car community or the car scene is what it is back then at all.
She just has no idea about the car community and what being a car enthusiast was.
TJ, being such the car guy that he is, he wouldn't stop talking about cars. He talked about cars the entire way up to our first date, all the way back home. Fun fact, I was scared to go on my first date with TJ because I had aftermarket wheels on it, and I didn't want him to judge me because I saw him around all these crazy cars all the time, and my car was just quite the opposite of a crazy car. So from the minute I started dating TJ, I noticed he was the most humble person I had ever met. He was quiet, he had a sensitive side to him that I just loved, and very quickly I realized how hard of a worker he is. He's so passionate about what he does. I remember in the early days of us dating when I was still waking up at 7 a.m. to get to my 8 a.m.s that I didn't really care about, and TJ was up 3 hours before me editing the video that he had filmed yesterday and was constantly on the phone. It's his drive and his passion for what he does has become the fuel for the drive and passion that I have with working with him. And that's the thing I love most about him, is his passion and his drive for what he does.
There's a lot of different things I really admire about her, but the thing that I would say stands out the most is she's allowed me to see that life is short and that any moment in time can be changed. We're not promised anything, we're not guaranteed anything. And it's the most cliche thing, like tomorrow's not promised, so really take advantage of what you have today and not only enjoy it, but be thankful and grateful. She's really been able to kind of reality check my life, being as ridiculous and busy and stressful as it is, and be able to check myself, and it allows me to be more self-aware when I find myself complaining of, oh, today's video shoot didn't go as planned, or I didn't get this done in time, or something as silly as like one of my cars only made like 700 horsepower and we ran out of injectors and it should have made like 750, 800, and that would just ruin my mood, and like it would just like sometimes bring me down. It's like the littlest things, like you get so caught up in what is today and all these materialistic things that don't really matter, and she's allowed me to find a way to really disconnect at the end of the day and be like, yo, no matter what anything happens outside of that, what's most important is family, what's most important is your loved ones, and being thankful and grateful for what you have regardless. Self-awareness really is what she's taught me.
So TJ and his positive mantra, the mantra that all of you guys live by, keep moving forward, really, really touched home with me when I went through the darkest time of my life, the toughest battle of my life. Prior to all of that, it was just something that I admired him for, that he was able to push through his hardest times by using this phrase that fueled everything behind what he was doing, and it became a phrase that is very near and dear to me.
Keep moving forward to me kind of really embodies everything Sabrina has reminded me in the last few years. I think at every point in someone's life, they go through a scenario or they go through something traumatic where it makes everyone question what their reality is and if they're happy, and it usually spirals people if it's like life-changing in any degree. Keep moving forward is really about understanding that situation that you have and refocusing on what you want, and understanding that your reality is whatever you want it to be. You just have to pursue that in every way, shape, or form, and accomplish whatever it is that you want to do. Because I truly believe that if you put 100% into what you're doing and you are 110% passionate, there is no impossible. Anything is achievable, period.